friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about Godzilla and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Cass and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Toto Island. Hey, welcome to the podcast from Toto Island. Follow us on Twitter at Toto Island Pod. I'm Kess, and with me as always is the man who broke the Honkamonte perfect meter. Slick, how you doing?
Fantastic. Just living and thriving.
Living and thriving. Thriving and living.
Like the mighty houseplant.
Yeah. Not like the Honkamonte perfect meter, because that's gone.
No, that's over now. Gunther saw to that.
We full disclosure, we're recording a week early, so we don't have much in the way of news. So we're covering Gamera the Brave, but we're also going to have like a special side topic.
This is where all sorts of news is going to break out after we record.
Yeah.
So I will be on vacation for a couple of weeks. So we're recording early. So I can't wait till like the day that I leave. That's like they're going to announce like a Godzilla versus Gamera live action movie is going to get announced. Kong versus
all
Pacific
before
Rim
Godzilla
crossover. Singular Point 2 and 3 are going to get announced. Yeah, all this stuff's going to get announced over the next week. So because we're usually pretty good at from what I can tell, I feel like we are usually one of the most like topical podcasts because we do like no long-term planning whatsoever.
Yeah.
And like so we tend to be very on top of the news, and if anything happens over the next week, not this time, pal.
Yeah. So, but we got two topics for you. The main topic today will be Gamera the Brave. I've never seen it before, but we'll get to that in just a second.
Gamera the Brave Little Toaster.
He's a brave boy.
Yeah, brave boy.
Gamera the Braveheart. But then we're also gonna sort of fantasy book the Monarch Legacy of Monsters show. It's not spoilers, it's just hot takes.
Yes.
Hot take central. So I was going to ask you, which one you want to start with today?
Why don't we start with the book in the territory?
Sure.
And why don't you go first? Because I have a little bit more of like an abstract approach, not so much like a storyline approach.
Yeah, mine's more storyline based. So the way I headcanon this one is Kurt Russell's like older now. It's like the current day-ish, like past 10 years. And Godzilla's sort of like public now, so everyone knows about him. So Kurt Russell is sort of like dreaming back to all, like having sort of like PTSD flashbacks to when he was younger and all the encounters he had with monsters, with Monarch. So like he flashes back to like him as a young man, and it's his kid, and he's seeing all these monsters, and like sort of there's this dichotomy of like Earth-based monsters, which are, Toho properties, and newer monsters versus like outer space, like alien like monsters, which are again a mixture of Toho and newer monsters. And so the aliens are sort of like an invasive species, whereas like the Earthbound ones are protectors. And so like one by one, sort of these like these Earth created monsters sort of like fall and get defeated. And so like the aliens think they're going to win, but then Godzilla shows up and kicks their asses. So like stronger, it's very Pacific Rimmy, where stronger monsters.
Listen, it's your territory. Book it how you want it.
Exactly. So stronger monsters have to come in from other planets and from space. And Godzilla keeps on having to like sort of defeat them, and then like a bunch of them come in, so Godzilla's like by himself and kind of gets his ass kicked a little bit, so he has to go back and recharge, and then he comes back and beats them in the end. And meanwhile, Kurt Russell's character is sort of like not mischievous, but like he's going down a wrong path. He's a young brash kid with bad ideas in his head. And he's just being led astray, and he's making all the wrong moves. So Kurt Russell's thinking back to how all these things he did were like mistakes, and he's trying to correct the mistakes as an older man. But like his son who is also played by his son, and also plays him when he's younger, is in the current day too. This is not real. This is just me making jokes. And he's also
I think you're hot-shotting that kid a little bit.
And so he's like sort of being a dick too, and Kurt Russell's trying to like lead him down the right path and be like, don't make the same mistakes I did, kid. And then he dies. The kid dies. I mean, Kurt Russell. And then Kurt Russell winds up in Cheers, and he's talking about his dead kid with Frasier.
Oh, I like the twist at the end.
I've been making a lot of...
That was a good setup for that punchline. Just end up in Cheers.
So he winds up in Cheers, and he's talking to Frasier, and that sort of launches the Frasier reboot.
Okay, great.
And that's sort of... So basically, it's Earth versus aliens, sci-fi... weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
There's not too much Hollow Earth stuff, except for that's where the monsters come from.
I think it's too early. I think it's too early timeline to get too much into the Hollow Earth stuff.
That's what I mean. Like, there's not too much there, except for like that's where like the people don't know where they're coming from. They're looking into it.
Because if I was booking this territory of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, I don't really have a storyline type thing how I would book it. I have a little bit more of like, this is my territory. This is how I'm going to book my territory. So I'm going to say this right off the bat. I also don't think, because it is called Monarch Legacy of Monsters, right off the bat, I'm going to say this isn't a vehicle to get Godzilla over. Godzilla's going to make some appearances in the territory. I think he's going to show up at the beginning.
He's an attraction.
He's going to come back at the end. Yeah, he's like Andre the Giant coming to your territory. Because I view this is a vehicle to get a new original IP over, to get a new kaiju over, and that you can build a show that can have multiple seasons, and that can, I don't know how many like years truly we're working with here between 2014 and King of the Monsters, like where the show is gonna, so I think you could have like season 1, like between 2014, King of the Monsters, and then you can kind of have those seasons kind of gradually catch up to the rest of the timeline after that. So what I would do is that, we'll work with, like we've already seen in the trailers, like, yes, we get some flashbacks of Godzilla, back in like the 50s, presumably, you get the 2014 flashbacks, but then the present day, I think we need another kaiju that is also kind of cool and reptilian and dinosaur-like in nature. I think like you need your proxy Godzilla and I think the human cast, I think, should like really be focused on that kaiju, tracking that kaiju, following that kaiju, and just the zany adventures it goes on, and working with the rumors that Rodan could be in the show.
Nice.
And then I think Rodan's got to put the kid over. I think Rodan's got to do the job for the new kaiju. Maybe Rodan's actually kind of like the big bad at the end of the season, or like the final boss at the end of the season, or something like that. Maybe the kaiju runs to Rodan early in the season, kind of gets his ass kicked, and then as he grows and learns, and he learns that friendship is what's important on this journey. Maybe at the end, that kaiju then beats Rodan and really kind of establishes itself. That's what I envision. You envision a new original kaiju that is like your kind of stand-in for Godzilla, but doesn't come with all that history, all that, not baggage, but you know what I mean. Just like comes with a bit of a clean slate, and you can have your own side character that can exist outside of the movies, and you can build future seasons around without having to worry too much about continuity. You want it to be in line with the movies, but you don't have to worry about like events in the movies or contradicting something. And then then the MonsterVerse gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm looking at it as like the Star Wars expanded universe. They got the movies, they got the Disney Plus TV shows. It's kind of the same sort of. I think that's the path. That's how I'd book this territory. And we would just be making money. What does the MonsterVerse sound like? Then it's me jiggling the change in my pocket. Based off the famous Chet Atkins quote.
So you're looking to create sort of like a Ricky Starks for your Collision show. Exactly.
Maybe this is like a little bit more like a homegrown, like NXT style talent. Maybe something like that. But yeah, that's the idea. You got to build your own talent. And then it just opens the doors to so many more opportunities. then you can have season 2 being the Hollow Earth or touch upon the Hollow Earth. And
Yeah,
then-
I feel
You
like
know?
the movies are going to cover the Hollow Earth pretty well. So like, I honestly like don't need it in the show. Like, I would prefer more of like, you know, the stuff done in secret getting exposed.
Yeah.
That's what the show is. Sort
Yeah.
of like in between the lines.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the actual show is going to be focused on exposing secrets. So, it's-
But like not to the public. I just mean like to the viewer.
oh yeah,
like,
yes,
To,
yes.
to me watching the show. That's what I mean about exposing the secrets. So they can stay secrets, but like I'll know about them.
And not
I'm
share
gonna put it in the vault, Jerry.
I wonder if like how close like the actual show is gonna like have like X-Files type vibes in the sense that like
I would love that.
yeah, I wonder if that's a
I used to love
like
X-Files when I was a young kid.
what
Even the when the series got away from Mulder and Scully and was Patrick Stewart and that tall girl.
I was long gone by then.
Oh, okay, yeah. Even then, I was kind of still into it.
Yeah.
like I didn't watch it all the time, but I used to,
Yeah,
I used to like the show.
I actually don't even think I actually knew that Patrick Stewart was in X-Files at any point.
Oh yeah. He comes in and sort of like the last 2 seasons. David Duchovny is not really he's part of the show, but he's not the main character anymore.
Oh,
it's more
okay,
on him, and Scully's in it too more, but she kind of gets replaced by this other girl.
Yeah, okay, that is kind of a little bit more familiar. I remember hearing people being upset that they were phased out because I mean the show was them, so
Yeah, but like David Duchovny was doing movies and stuff. I think he was filming like Evolution at the time, so like he needed time off to go do that. It's sort of like when The Rock left WWE to go do Hollywood film.
he became a part
The
timer.
Tooth Fairy, yeah.
Yep.
Same idea, but yeah, that's when like Skinner killed Krychek in the parking lot. Which is like
Okay.
the funniest TV death ever. Like the face he makes when he dies is pretty hilarious. I highly recommend that one. But yeah, I would love it if it was X-Files, like the smoking man, the cigarette smoking man's in there.
Yeah, I mean Kurt Russell seems like a surly Kurt Russell looking to some answers. It sounds like
He wants to believe.
He wants to believe. We'll see.
But then that makes John Goodman the cigarette smoking man,
I guess. Yeah.
where he's like a government spook.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Keeping those things a secret. But yeah, this was sort of like a quick
Placeholder for news.
yeah, like I said, we'd have to put something out just because there's no new news to discuss.
Yeah.
Because we're filming kind of early, or we're recording, not filming.
Filming.
But on to the main topic. Today we're covering Gamera the Brave. Sorry, Matt, we're taking over your podcast theme. We're now the Gamera podcast.
This will be the last one for a while. Then you can take it back. We just kept it warm for you.
Yeah.
So, 2006's Gamera the Brave, produced by Kadokawa Studios for Gamera's 40th anniversary. Directed by Ryuta Tasaki, who, because, the plan was to bring this to a more, again, kid-friendly Gamera, he had experience doing some of the Kamen Rider TV shows and Super Sentai, which are obviously geared to a little bit more all ages or younger audience. So he was brought in to direct that. The script itself was actually based on one of the scripts that was pitched for Gamera Guardian of the Universe that was ultimately, not used when they decided to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
With the 90s trilogy, but so this kind of lifts elements from one of those scripts that before they went a different direction. 13 African spurred turtles played young Toto throughout the movie. Other thing I thought was fun is that there are 2 novelizations of the movie. One was written by the film screenwriter Yukari Tatsui. The second novelization of the movie was called Friends, Gamera the Brave. So, Ray Romano's in that one. Which, both kind of have stuff that did not make it to the movie,
Ray Romano's in it?
Yeah, Ray Romano, that's what I meant, yeah. Oh, no, wait. No, Ray Romano was in, Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't know. Jennifer Aniston. She was in Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
Wait.
I had to find someone who was in Friends.
The theme music was done by the Rembrandts.
Was it? I didn't watch Friends.
Well, that was
I've never seen Friends. I've never seen a single episode of Friends.
Well,
Never have I ever.
You didn't have to watch Friends to know that the Rembrandts did the theme of the show, because they made a video and it was always on MTV and VH1 in the 90s.
I don't even think what's the name of the song?
I'll Be There For You.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, I know the song. I just didn't know that was the theme to Friends. Yeah. Oh.
It's an offshoot is the theme for the UK-based show Chums.
Well, I've learned multiple things today.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay. I don't know where the lies end and the truth begins at this point. But anyway, even though both novelizations had stuff that didn't make it into the movie, I don't think much of it was too notable, except in the first novelization, the story of Me and Toto, the movie Gamera the Brave, when old man Gamera is fighting the Gauss at the beginning. Part of his reasoning to self-destruct is because one of the Gauss, rather than kind of cut into his arms like the beams, slices off his lower jaw with the Gauss beams, and thus Gamera is not able to shoot fireballs anymore because he ain't got no jaw. So he decides to blow himself up. And I was like, that's pretty fucking gory. But the other novelization included, in addition to Zetas being obviously in the book, Baragon, Varas, Guron, Jiger, and Zigra all make appearances in the other novelization.
Okay.
So sounds like that one probably went straight a little bit further from the movie. So there you go. The table has been set for Gamera the Brave, batteries not included. That's what this movie reminds me of.
This movie reminds me of the national anthem, Gamera the Brave.
Oh,
that's what
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I see what you did. So, I mean, off mic, I know you had never seen this before, but I gave you like a little heads up. I was like, yeah, this is meant for a younger crowd. I think I said this is not GMK or Godzilla 2000 or Gamera 3. That this is not it. So, I wanted to give you that disclaimer going into it. But
no, I'd always heard about that going into it. I've just never seen it.
Oh, I should also add this was a financial flop. Not a flop.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't do well, and but it was actually like critically well received.
Okay.
But and I also kind of remember when this came out, because this comes out after Final Wars, and I was like, okay, at least we're gonna get a Gamera movie. And I do remember, I think we all were just a little bit more edgier back in 2006, and I remember. Generally speaking, I kind of remember as a whole the fandom's reaction being like, "Oh, we didn't get '90s Gamera again," and that kind of leading to resentment. Now here we are, which at the time, like I think I was kind of like too, was like, "Oh man, it's like we don't get Godzilla, but instead we got like a kids Gamera movie." So I'm sure I was part of that course in 2006, or I don't think I really had super strong feelings, but I think I was probably. I recall not being super interested in seeing this movie in 2006, and I actually didn't see it for a few years because I was just like, oh, whatever. It's like the 2006 like little kid Gamera's movie, but I probably have a much different view and take on that in 2023. Now that we live in a renaissance of kaiju movies again. So, but anyway, your thoughts, initial thoughts.
So, love the intro. The intro might have been my favorite part of the movie.
Old man Gamera.
Old man Gamera, his last ride. I interpreted him self-destructing as sort of like he's Murtaugh and he's just had one too many car chases. And he's like, I'm too old for this shit. And so he's like, you know what? I'm done, but I'm taking you three with me. Yeah. And so he cashes in his chips, pieces out because he knows he's got little baby Toto.
Yep.
On the way.
Yep. It's always the fucking Gauss. Always the Gauss and get like. I'll say like I always complain about like King Ghidorah like not having enough wins over Godzilla to be like an effective threat, and I don't ever have that feeling with Gauss. I feel like there's enough like Gamera either has to sacrifice himself. I don't think he's ever like. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember like any straight up losses to get. Well, either way, Gauss is much better established as a threat to Gamera than maybe that's a hot take. Gauss is a better established threat to Gamera than King Ghidorah is Godzilla, in my opinion.
Yeah. But that's all you get of the Gauss in this movie. They were cool, well done, vicious, and
delicious.
They thought Gamera was delicious because they were non.
There's like one part where it's like they straight like pull like
but they pull chunks off them.
Yeah, I was
like kids movie.
I was like, there's another part we're gonna talk about that go like this happened in a kids movie, but we'll get there.
But like overall, I thought this movie had its strengths and weaknesses. I'm not saying it was terrible by any means. I actually really enjoyed it. But there was sort of like after the first scene for about, I'd say 45 minutes. So about 50 minutes in, the movie kind of picks up again. And from that point forward, it's a fun romp. It's probably like another 35 minutes after that. So it's probably 40 minutes of a lot of fun, and then 50 minutes of sort of like, well, let's move this thing along.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's kind of, I was kind of thinking about how it was paced, and it was kind of like, because Zetas doesn't show up until when Zeta shows up. I remember like I looked at like the timestamp really quick, and it was actually 32 minutes into the movie.
Yeah,
but it felt longer.
Yeah,
but like but you know, I think, but then it's like you just kind of said, once he kind of like shows up, like the pace kind of picks up, and it was like, okay, we got 30 minutes of like, you established all the characters in that 30 minutes, got their relationships pretty much established.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like, then it kind of more just gets to the, you know, more focused on Gamera and Zetas, and then kind of continuing the evolution of like those kids and their parents, like in the first 30 minutes. But yeah, I feel like it was like, could have been broken up a little bit better in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You had to get the to the, you know, baby Gamera growing and growing and growing and growing. So he does multiple sizes, and like eventually like he's like big enough to kind of fight Zetas, sorry. Zeromus. I love you, Dr. Zemus. But like he's not big enough yet, so Zetas like has his way with him, and he's eating people, and
yeah.
So just to give you a heads up on Zetas, he's basically a giant Dilophosaurus.
Yes.
Like he's the dinosaur that kills Newman in Jurassic Park.
So
Newman.
You kind of touched on it there for a kids movie. Very fucked up scene occurs where Zetas basically like traps like a whole crowd of people on a bridge and eats them.
Yeah.
And like one of like the main three children, not like the main kid, but like his like two friends, like one of them is basically hiding and watching all these people get eaten. And the thing that makes the scene even more fucked up is that like they're screaming, and then as he eats them, it's like the screams just like abruptly stop.
Yes.
And that makes it like even more fucked up feeling. Like, and there's like a part two is like after he eats like the first group, like you hear like four people scream, and he like turns, looks at them, then eats them, and those screams abruptly stop. And I was just like, it's fucked up for a kids movie. Really fucked up.
It's very Attack on Titan. That's kind of what happens a lot in the first season, is just the Titans just eating people, and you hear their screams and then you don't.
Yeah. And I think like the same thing happens in Nope. And like everyone talks about how like that was like a really effective use of that scene in Nope. And it was like, well, here's where it started in this Gamera movie for kids. But yeah, although like Gamera, like Toto, sorry, is not really big enough to truly stand up to Zetas. He actually kind of pulls one over on him in that first fight.
Well, he kind of like hits him in the back. It's kind of like, you know, like a little kid throwing like a ball at you when your back is turned and hits you in the back of the head. And you're like, what?
No, I mean when they get to the bridge at the end of the fight.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he does spit a fireball at him and knock him into the water.
Yeah,
it doesn't kill him, but it takes him out of commission for a little bit.
He embarrassed the bigger bully heel. You know, Zetas got a little cocky. You know,
it's like the 1, 2, 3 kid pulling the win out on
Ramon. Hit him with the poison mist, hit him with the fire in the face, and but then just like collapses.
Yeah. Well, he's tired. He was all tuckered out.
Yeah,
he's a tired boy.
But well, I guess before we go further to the movie, so like the main kid in the movie, Turo, is like, you know, his mother has been killed in a car accident sometime before, and it's like, I thought it did a good job, you know, showing that like this kid's like dealing with grief like in his own way. Like, you know, I thought for like a child actor, and for what the movie was, I actually thought that was like a strong part of this movie. Was like, I felt like I could feel the kid was like filled with grief and dealing with it. And even though he had friends, like he wasn't some like loner kid, you know, he's, you know, but still he was like missing something.
Yeah.
Like he felt like detached from the world, and he finds baby Gamera, and it kind of pulls him back into, kind of pulls him out of his like slump, you know. And I thought that was like, you know, there could have been like a cliche tropey way to kind of handle this, where the kid turns into a loner with like no friends, which I feel like happens a lot in movies when they try to portray people dealing with grief. And I thought it was like nice to see it done in a way where it's like, no, the kid's got friends. He's even got like, you know, he's got a dad that's like, you know, trying his best, and you know,
that's the best way to describe his dad.
Yeah,
he's just trying to protect his kid. He doesn't want to see anything bad happen.
Right, and it's like, but you know, when you're dealing with shit, it's like, you know, all that stuff doesn't mean everything. Doesn't, you know, like something else is going to fix your like, you know, that's not going to fix your problems.
Yeah,
and him getting this like attachment to Gamera or Toto, you know, I thought was like a nice change to like the trope that I feel like, as I just feel like that's not how it's handled in movies. And
yeah,
I thought it was like a much more like relatable, probably for like a lot of people. Not that the other way isn't, but I'm just saying it was just, you know, it felt like an experience like that I could like relate to, or, you know, put myself in.
Yeah.
Obviously he's like a little kid, but I mean, like, you know, the feelings though. Yeah.
The characters weren't like annoying in any way. They were all pretty normal people, and they all behaved in ways that were very believable. So yeah. I agree with you on that. Yeah, characters were well done. The kid like sort of reacts naturally to a flying turtle. They're like, whoa, this is cool.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where we get like our little like Disney like childhood Disney movie. That's right. Like, have you seen Batteries Not Included?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I felt like that middle part of the movie of like Gamera or Toto growing, it was like, it just gave me such like Batteries Not Included vibes. Like totally just like that.
What's the movie with David Cross? Toy Soldiers or something like that. It gave me those vibes.
No, I'm not. I don't think I've seen Toy Soldiers, so yeah. I'll watch it after I watch Friends.
I that might not be the name of it, but it's David Cross. Toys come to life, basically.
Okay.
And it's Army Men versus like the other toys, and the other toys are the good guys, and the Army Men are the bad guys.
No, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, but
Tommy Lee Jones does the voice of the main army guy.
But yeah, it was. Oh, there's also part too where like we got our obligatory like the turtle like breaks out of the bedroom and then goes on a little wild, goofy adventure where he goes to like the dad's shop, and there was which was purely just to set up the gag of like the knife falling and like landing as if it's like Guron.
Yeah, and
then Toto gets like scowls at it and then like shoots his like fire at it, and he's like a little baby turtle. I was like, all right, that was worth the payoff of this little mischievous adventure.
And then the kid's just kind of like, Toto didn't want to be my friend anymore.
Oh yeah, when Toto ultimately does disappear, then like, because he had to go grow to fight Zetus. So then after that first fight with Zetus,
the army kind of captures him and turns him into baby Gorgo.
Well,
I just meant they put him on a truck and then parade.
Yes. But
I don't know why, but I really like that.
It's happened more often than you would think in monster movies.
That's what I mean. I don't know why. I just enjoy.
You just always enjoy them on a truck.
Yeah.
But you know, for the most part, for a good chunk of the movie, they don't do the whole like, like let's treat like they never like treat Gamera like or Gamera / Toto. For the most part, they don't ever treat him like a potential enemy at any point. Like they kind of go like, all right, we're gonna put Toto on the truck so that we can get him somewhere, so we can try to heal him and try to pump him full of this like energy from this red stone, so he can grow and fight. Like there's never like ever a moment going like, oh, should like we like kill this giant monster too? Like actually, I don't think there's no jets, there's no tanks.
Yeah, well, it's almost like because they know Gamera. Gamera was old, and they had like a relationship with Gamera previously, so they think this is like sort of just the new one. So they're just trying to get ahead of the curve. And
yeah, but I mean, like even like while Toto's like unconscious, like they don't bring any tanks in or any aircraft in to fight Zetus. You know, it's just Zetus pretty much just gets to roam around unchecked.
It's true. Yeah. Well, they think he knocked him into the water, so they think he's done. But then he comes back while he's in the building.
Guess he just caught him when they weren't ready. But then he grows a little bit. Never gets the classic Gamera roar though.
It's almost there.
But so those roars are actually stock roars that I think they were from movies that were like in the 50s and the 60s, and some of those roars were reused in the 1976 King Kong, and that's what Toto gets for the movies. He gets these like stock roars. I thought that was a little weird. I was like,
just maybe because he's not as big.
Yeah, I was like, I figured it was gonna like end with him getting the classic roar, but then it doesn't. So
he's still, even at the end of the movie, like I don't know if he's full grown or not. Like his head looks more Gamera-ish, but like he just seems still very small.
Yeah,
comparatively speaking. They said he was like 9 yards when he fights at first, and
then
like,
he's bigger when he comes out of the building.
The old Gamera who dies was like 38 meters.
Yeah.
So he's somewhere in between 9 and 38 meters.
He does get bigger when he gets revived out of the military base.
Well, he gets bigger there. Doesn't he get bigger when he eats the Jolly Rancher?
Towards the end, probably, maybe. I don't really remember.
Because that's what gives him his power of flight.
Yes, yeah.
Is the delicious watermelon Jolly Rancher that Toru throws into his mouth.
That every child did a relay race with to get it to him, which I actually like. Could be that in theory could be something that like I could watch and go, oh, that's so stupid. But like, I don't know, maybe it was the weed drinks I was enjoying while I was watching it, where I was like, oh, that's kind of touching. And I kind of like there was like all these like kids just like don't really gotta say a word to each other other than saying for Toto and just handing off like the jewel and like running it across. And I was like, all right, I'm on board with this. This works. This works for me, brother.
I was doing the Chariots of Fire music in my head while that.
I mean, that's like really what it feels like at some points. But I like how all these kids like take off running with like no parents around or anything like that. No one's like they're just like did we all just like off on your own? But whatever. Putting the logic gaps aside, I actually thought it was like kind of nice. Yeah. It was kind of touching.
All the kids too kind of come back at the end and like protect Gamera from the army.
Yep.
Even though I'm not convinced the army was there to do anything bad to Gamera.
Well, this is like when like the counselor guy is like now I want to capture Gamera.
Yeah, but like capture and like but they weren't like mistreating him. It was just sort of like no, Gamera is supposed to be free.
But he had like a sinister edge to him. I feel like when he says that. So I was like, this guy's got some things up his sleeve. That I don't think he's got Gamera's best intentions at heart here.
Well, just like in Gamera Rebirth, this time the children protected him.
That's right. This is what I said. Like we were watching Gamera Rebirth, and I was like, there's a lot of little things that gave me Gamera the Brave vibes while we were watching it, and like especially baby Gamera at the very end of Gamera Rebirth. But this like I feel like the kids in Gamera Rebirth were reminded me a lot of kind of like the kids in Gamera the Brave, and like. Yeah,
that's fair.
That dynamic, kind of.
I like the kids in Gamera the Brave more because there was less like friction between them. They were more just like a group of friends just trying to have a good time and look after each other.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in animated stuff, there's always sort of like manufactured tension that you don't need.
Right.
And that's kind of a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Like when I'm watching a monster movie, I don't want to see the people sort of bickering.
Yeah, there was like a lot of things in this movie that I feel like break away from typical molds and tropes.
This had the kids bickering with their parents, which is completely different, and yeah, that's the way it is.
Right. But even still, it's like it's not as like it's like not as like cliche as it is in other movies. Like it's not so extreme. It's kind of like normal level like fights and interactions. Like usually it's like in these movies go like, oh, all right, we gotta like establish like or like in Gamera Rebirth, like with that kid Joe, they're like it's not that he just doesn't get along with his dad's just like a total deadbeat. Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's like everything kind of or like Boko's mother is like a total asshole. Yeah. Like in this movie it's like they're all kind of normal parent kid relationships, like with like May, the girl who's having the heart surgery. Mm-hmm. Like it was like
she doesn't smile that whole movie until the end.
Yeah, it was like kind of like a but like it's a portray like a realistic or a portrayal that makes sense to me of like a family trying to deal with the fact that like, all right, our daughter's about to have this like open heart surgery on some like undisclosed illness that she has that's like impacting her heart, and it all kind of made sense. It all felt real and authentic. So I feel like it really nailed the human side of things, or I think it nailed both sides of it for what it was setting out to do. But like, the characters the human characters I thought were really well done.
Yeah. getting into the monsters though, so the main fight of the movie happens in the city. I thought the miniatures looked really good in this movie. But the best thing that happens out of everything is Gamera is biting on Zetas' tail. And Zetas climbs up in a building, does a flip, like a somersault, and basically hurls Gamera across the city and lodges him in, like, right off. Like, basically there's two buildings that look like football field goal posts, and it looks like he just dings him right off the post, but like the ball gets stuck into
That's
the post.
actually a really good way to put it. I didn't think of it that way.
So he like hurls Gamera off his tail like into a building, and Gamera's just stuck in like the 30th floor of this building, and he's just stuck there. He can't move. And like so, Toru gets the watermelon Jolly Rancher from the other kids, and him and his dad. His dad finally comes around because his dad's trying to stop him from getting hurt, and
but also making logical arguments.
No.
Logical arguments.
That's what I'm saying. Like the dad's just trying to protect him. He's not trying to be. He's not a bad guy. He's just like, Toru's running off trying to save Toto, and the dad's just like, no, get back here. But sort of when he gets to the Jolly Rancher, which is what I'm gonna call it forever. The dad's just like, all right, I'm coming with you, and the dad sort of like helps him get because there's a blockade on this. They took the
stairs.
It was
like some yeah. I was like, did you try the elevator?
That's what I mean. Like they didn't even attempt the elevator, and also Zetas is like climbing up the other building way faster. So it's like, there's no way you're gonna get there in time.
Zetas also does an awesome thing where you're just climbing up the other upright, as I'm just going to call it now, or the other building, and like
and
when
he like sticks his tongue out.
Yeah, when he just like passes Gamera, just like really petty style, just like stabs him with his tongue, and I was like, oh man. There was no question. Like Zetas might be like one of the biggest dickhead kaiju like in movie. He's like just intentionally a giant dickhead.
He's eating a ton of people. He's sticking his tongue out and it's stabbing Toto while he's stuck in a building, and he's defenseless, so he can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
and then Toru's like, don't die, and then he's falling out of the building, so he hurls the Jolly Rancher at him, eats it, and then Gamera can fly.
Yeah.
And that's basically for Zetas. Zetas can't defend himself.
And he just blows him the shit away with a giant fireball, and then passes out from exhaustion.
So, like the special effects for like the CGI stuff, not like super great, but I thought like the miniatures and the blending of like the people in the scenes with like a miniature background where Zetas is coming in.
Yeah,
I thought all that looked really good.
Yeah, I don't remember the actual budget for the movie, but I do know this was like a very much more lower budget movie than anything else that was like out around at the time.
But like the overall fights themselves were usually pretty decent. Like they weren't like the best I've ever seen by any means.
Yeah,
but definitely good enough for this movie.
I feel like most Gamera by design, I feel like does not lend to suits that are like Gamera suits are not great for fights.
Yeah,
just because like just the way Gamera is shaped and stuff like that. So it's got to be something like Guardian of the Universe, where it's like it's really like relying on the fireballs and the ghosts and stuff like that. But for like a kaiju like that, just a little hard to get like in live action anyway. Gamera Rebirth obviously had awesome fights, but it had the benefit of being animated. So
so there's pros and cons to animation and live action, obviously. But I feel like if they make another Gamera movie in the next couple years, which since there's sort of like a kaiju revival and they did this show, I kind of feel like that's the next logical step. There hasn't been anything announced that I know of yet, but like I feel like why not have it doesn't have to be like how Godzilla is sort of like dark and sort of like very, I don't know what the right word is. It's not political, but like socially conscious, I guess is the best way to describe it. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be like this. Like I feel like the time is right for a Gamera the Brave type movie to come in and sort of like be like the little kids, sort of like their gateway drug into kaiju stuff, for lack of
I think I feel like Gamera Rebirth was a good test of the waters. I mean, Gamera the Brave not being a success is often,
which surprised me because I thought this was decent.
I think it was. I think it's a really good movie. I think just probably for the time, it was like just not. I think I think interest in kaiju movies in general were at like a low point back then.
Yeah.
And I think for the people who wanted to see a kaiju movie, I don't think they wanted to see a kids movie. And I think that was two strikes that worked against it.
I feel like calling this a kids movie is a little off.
Yeah.
Like, it obviously is meant for kids. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's like one of those movies that kind of just appeals to like anyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I agree. I like this movie a lot. Actually, the more like my rating for this movie is actually going up the more that we're talking about it, reflecting on it.
Good.
But like, yeah, it's like it is a kids movie, but like I have like a friend who one of our mutual friends' cousins has a kid that is who I think they might actually listen to this podcast. I'm not going to throw their name out just in case they don't want that. But what was that?
I said so.
So you know, like I go, oh, would this be a movie I would recommend, you know, to watch with his son?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, this is like the perfect movie for kids. And I go like, would that scene though, Zeta's eating the people, like traumatize their kid? Because it's like,
how old is he?
Young, like probably like 5 or 6. It's a little.
It's
a little dicey.
Yeah.
It's like it's again. It's talking about like
you don't see it though.
But I feel like that makes it like almost worse.
No,
it's I don't know. It's like, you know, I think
it's way worse when you see it, like in Beowulf when
oh well, God, yeah,
the dude, like the monster Grendel eats the
Grendel,
dude's head right in front of you, and he's chewing on it right in front of you. It's way
worse. Yes, but that's not geared towards a young audience,
right? Exactly.
So I go,
like, you don't see it. It's he's right on the line.
So like, and I was having this conversation with like another friend too, who was like asking me if like Godzilla versus Kong would be good like for their kid to watch when it came out, and then again, like another kid that's like this particular kid was like 4 years old, and I said, okay, I said, I think the only scene that like you would probably have to consider is like the scene where Mechagodzilla slices the Skullcrawler in half. Other than that, like I don't feel like anything is very gory or.
Well, Kong rips the head off of one of the
the war bats.
The war bat.
Yeah. I kind of forgot about that too. But it's like, but like, you know, in like to maybe it's because I don't know.
I feel like 4's a little young for that movie.
Yeah. So, you know, I think if you are in fact listening, and you would like to watch Gamera The Brave with your kid, just, you know, you've already heard us talk about how fucked up that scene is, but it's not like gory. It's just more like. It's more like your imagination kind of runs away with it. It's like what you don't see is like what makes it. And the instant audio dropout of the screams is fucked up. So so it's more that. So maybe like a little kid like is not going to think about it like we do as like adults, and like they're just going to be like, oh, that was like a weird thing that happened, and like they're going to kind of forget about it. But like, you know, whereas like we kind of like analyze stuff and we're like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. Like, yeah, maybe we're putting more to it than is really there.
Maybe,
but.
I feel like this movie could work for a small child, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, before I got lost in that rant, I was going to ask you, based on what you said, about like, have you ever seen and if you haven't, when we're done recording, we should try to find it like on YouTube so you can see it. Like, have you ever seen the short Gamera film that came out? The one that's just like, it's like 3-4 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like,
that was awesome.
Yeah. It's like, I think everyone was like hoping, and I still like, we could do something like that, right? Like, I mean, that's like a kid that like, again, you got a kid who's like same sort of message, like the Gauss again are invading something. Gamera shows up, in particular saves this particular kid and fights off the Gauss. And I was like, yeah, I was like, you can go that route. You know, it's just you don't need this. You don't need the social aspect, like you're saying, like the Godzilla movies, like. You could make it more just like it's just more of a
Godzilla. Like I was thinking,
or like -1 is going to be like, you know, you could make it just more like good versus evil, you know. That's and Gamera is just always representing good and, you know, fighting evil. Like it can be that simple, you know.
But I even think like even if you make Gamera sort of like the kid monster stuff, and then you have Godzilla being like the adult monster stuff, and then you could do like all the other offshoots that you want. Like I feel like that's a good stylistic choice, and I feel like after watching this movie I'm just kind of like, if 2006 wasn't the time for Gamera the Brave, I feel like right now would be a much better time.
I absolutely
there's a renaissance for it, and it's different enough from all the other stuff to where it'll stand out. And like I can't speak to whether it'll be profitable or not, like, to be honest with you.
I think it would do the exact same movie comes out 10 years later, I think it does 3-4 times better.
Yeah.
I think it was just really it just came out at a time that, just wasn't really meant for kaiju movies at that point.
Yeah.
And for what it was doing, it just wasn't the right time for it.
Yeah.
Which is too bad. Because when I did ultimately see it, I was like, oh, this is like a good... I've only watched it this is only like the second or third time I've seen this movie, and I was like, oh, it was a pretty good movie. And I was like, I wonder why it got dragged through the muck so much back in the day.
Exactly.
And I was like, right.
For me, watching it the first time, I'm just kind of like, this is really good. And I'm a 39-year-old man who's watching this for the first time, and I'm like, yeah, it's family oriented.
Yeah,
but it's monsters. So.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's nice.
I will say this though, with the Zetas eating all the people and stuff. I saw Jurassic Park when I was 9, and when the T-Rex eats the lawyer.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I thought that was like hilarious. So.
Yeah, I think that's
so maybe 9, maybe like 8, 9 is a good spot to start with.
I think that's what I would say to people with kids. I said, would you let your kid watch Jurassic Park? If you would let them watch Jurassic Park, they can handle this.
Jurassic Park's way more
way more. Yeah,
than this is.
Yeah.
Not that this movie doesn't have like its own level of maturity to it, but it's just like Jurassic Park. I feel like you have dismembered body parts. Like, like there's way more.
Yeah.
In that, so that's how I would view it. So yeah, I would recommend this movie for kids.
Yeah. All right. Anything else in this movie?
Was there anything else that I can think of? Nothing. Yeah.
Well, we should rank it.
Yeah, we should. I want you to go first because I went first with what my take was for the movie.
Okay. So our rating system, which I realized we didn't go over last time, but as you've probably heard, a lot of wrestling references get peppered throughout our episodes. I'm only resetting that because I noticed over the last couple of months we have a lot of new listeners, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah.
We welcome you. So 1 star is a jobber, 2 stars a lower mid-carder, 3 stars mid-carder. If you're a 3-star, that's very serviceable, very good. You're a good hand, pal.
Yeah.
You're a good hand. 4-star is like your Dominic Mysterios, your Orange Cassidy's.
I feel like Orange Cassidy moved it to 5 stars.
Yeah, I guess he's getting there. So yeah, but your 5 stars, your main eventers. That's your Roman Reignses, your MJFs. That level of
if you saw All Out, you would agree that Orange Cassidy has moved into the 5-star category.
So I did not. So originally I was coming in at a 3, but as we talked about it, I was like wavering between a 3 and a 4. And as we talked about it, I was like, there are like actually a lot of very strong positives about this movie. Really appreciating how well done the human cast was, and I think just once the film gets going, I feel like it's just a really good time. I have teetered over to a 4. It's a 4 now for me. Upper mid-carder for me.
Yeah, it took a little while to get over, but once it got over, it's gonna be over. I just didn't know how over.
You opened the door, Gamera the Brave walked through the door, and it came into the shining light.
I was thinking about this too, and it was like, okay, I don't like this as much as Guardian or Iris, but I kind of like it as much as the second movie,
Legion.
It's kind of in that same area, and then I was comparing it to like the Mothra Rebirth movies too, where it's like I like this more than the second movie, but like as much as the first and third of that series.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like...
That's actually kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah, because it was like little kid based for those movies. And so I'm like, well, where were my rankings on those? And I can't remember. I'm not listening back to it. So it's kind of like, you know what? I was going to go to 3, but I also going to a 4 just because, like, what I was thinking back once I watched this movie and sort of like enjoyed putting my own little spin onto like the Chariots of Fire running and the field goal. I was just kind of like, this movie is kind of good, and I can recommend it to people. So I'm going to go 4, but sort of like on the lower side of the 4s.
It's a feel-good movie. Definitely a feel-good movie.
Definitely.
I think,
like when the girl smiles at the end, when all the kids are like protecting Gamera, I'm just kind of like,
yeah. Happiness won, friendship won. Yeah, I think we were pretty consistent in giving the Mothra trilogy, I think 3s and 4s. I think we both... I might have been lower on this. I don't remember which one of us was lower in the second one. I might have been like a 1 or a 2 in the second one. And the Gamera, the Gamera Rebirth, the Mothra Rebirth trilogy.
I think I was a 2 for that one.
Yeah, that one. The second one is. I actually tried watching it again too, like when I saw it on Pluto.
I had the same thing.
And I was like, yeah, it's like, man, this one's a rough go.
Yeah.
But 1 and 3 though, like I'm still to this day shocked how much I liked 1 and 3. Like both of those movies, like I liked way more than I ever expected to like them. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing too. It's like you know we kind of order our favorite of the 90s gamer movies a little differently, but I'm kind of like in the same boat. It's like
I definitely like Iris the most.
Yeah, I have that. I'm on a very lonely island with the scorching hot take that I think Iris is an excellent movie, but of the 90s trilogy, it's my least favorite. Yeah, I've kind of like gone back and forth. I think I might lean towards Guardian of the Universe probably being my favorite. I go back and forth between those two. I think both of those movies.
Last time we talked about this, you said Legion was probably your favorite.
It is, but now I'm like in a swing where I feel like Guardian of the Universe is like maybe it.
Okay,
I don't know. They're both of those movies are just top tier, just totally top tier.
I think I was less warm on Legion than you were, but I still enjoyed it. But for me, Iris was the best of the 3.
Yeah. Either way, just an incredible trilogy.
Just that weirdo dickhead character.
Yeah. We did. I guess we didn't really give too much. You kind of referenced at the beginning that it was your favorite part of the movie, but I do kind of really love the old man Gamera design.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the 2 Gamera designs too much either. Like the young Gamera, like Toto's like final form, I thought looked really good.
Yeah.
Very expressive with the eyes, with the lower lid.
Yep.
Old man Gamera though, I was just kind of like, oh yeah,
this
looks awesome.
I like how they because like he's so strikingly different than the other Gamera designs, and like I like how Toto's just kind of like you can just tell Toto's going to get old at some point and turn into old grizzly man Gamera again. And it's like that old man Gamera design is like you can just tell he's like man, he's like I've been fucking doing this for ever and ever and ever. And then finally he's like, yeah, like you said, like yep.
I've had enough.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time. You know, and it seems like they did a pretty good job establishing that, like, you know, the Gauss were pretty much like the last, you know, evil kaiju around at that time. It's like Gamera knows, like, if I take them out, like that's it. We're all gonna take a rest now. And it was really well. Old man Gamera was really well done.
I totally agree. That was probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, it was
just because it took me off guard how they started this thing off, and like the Gauss are taking chunks out of him, and then he blows himself up. I was like, I didn't know he could do that.
Have you learned that Gamera like just gets powers that are convenient for the plot?
Yeah.
At all times.
Yeah.
That's again one of my favorite things and least favorite things about Gamera. Just gets powers convenient to the plot.
Yeah. Anything more you'd like to say to this one?
Nope.
Right, me
not
neither.
at all.
But yeah, good movie. Would recommend.
Yeah. So I actually have no purchases because we just recorded 4 or 5 days ago.
I was going to say we could take a break here, but at the same time, the only purchase that we have is in the mail. So
yes.
If we recorded this at normal time frames, we'd probably both have something to talk about.
We would be reviewing the Haya Godzilla 2014 reissue right now.
Yeah.
But
weren't they the 2019 one?
Oh, sorry. No, wait. Yeah, we have the. Do we have the 2019 or do we have the 2014 one?
I think it's the 2019.
I don't even remember. You're right. Sorry. We have the 2019 reissue. Yes. Yeah. Not the 2014 one. We have the 2019 one. Sorry. Too much 2014 talk as of late.
So that'll be coming in the next few days for us, but we can't talk about it because it's not here, so no purchases this week. We both have to do penance purchases.
It's an exception. It's an exception to the rule.
We haven't done that in a while.
But looking ahead, we'll be entering my favorite month of the year, October, just for life in general. But I don't know what our next topic will be. We now have lots of time to think about it. But
we sure do.
But we will do a Halloween movie at some point. If you recall, we said we were recording one night on the pod. I said, I was like, oh, we should do White Zombie for the Halloween movie. So I don't know if you're still open to that or not.
I'm open to it.
Yeah. One of Bela Lugosi's other cool. I think we were talking about when we both got the NECA Dracula, and I was like, oh man, I wish like they gave you like some accessories to make this like his like White Zombie character, where he has like the best name ever of Murder Kilgane or something to that effect. I mean, his first name is Murder, but
Group of crows.
Good little classic Universal. What these call them? They used to have like the A-level flicks, but I think they did just call them B-level flicks. They had like a name for like their second tier movies, and that's like I believe it's like what White Zombie was at the time, but
the Dark Pools.
It's a classic movie.
That's a Stocks joke.
So yeah, I didn't quite get it, but yeah. So I don't know. We'll plot the month of October in the near future.
All right. Anything you'd like to leave our listeners with on before you leave for your vacation?
For Toto.
For Toto.
For Toto.